Welcome into OutKick, the show. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis. We have never had a situation like this in any of the lives, I don't believe, of anybody watching, of anybody listening. Democrats have put in place effectively the Order 66 to take out Joe Biden. As I sit here talking with all of you, every single media outlet, and I'm going to run through them all, that is typically aligned with Democrats, that is generally speaking a protectorate of Joe Biden, has turned their guns on him. They're all trying to force him out. We have never seen anything like the firing squad that is currently unleashed on Joe Biden and his 2024 presidential campaign. What's going on? Where is it all headed? What do I expect to see in this press conference that's going to happen in about 4.5 hours, 3.5 hours from now, scheduled for 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, 4:30 Mountain, 3:30 Pacific. Get your popcorn and get ready for it. Order 66. For those of you who are not Star Wars nerds, in episode 3 of the Star Wars, the Order 66 is ordered by the Emperor, and it is the directive to take out all the Jedis. Order 66 has occurred, and the takeout is currently in the process of occurring. So let me run through some of what exactly is going on here. Right now, as I'm speaking to all of you, headlines, New York Times, top headlines. Some Biden advisors are discussing how to persuade him to step aside. Second headline, Biden campaign quietly tests Harris's chances versus Trump. Headline 3, here is the Democrat process for naming a candidate between now and Election Day. More headlines, CNN.com right now, reporting that Biden has not had an actual cabinet meeting since October, and when it does occur, it is all for show. That is the lead headline. Angry and stunned Democrats blame Biden's closest advisors for shielding public from full extent of president's decline. NBC News, no one involved in the effort thinks he has a path. Biden insiders say the writing is on the wall. Opening paragraph from NBC News. Several of President Joe Biden's closest allies, including 3 people who are directly involved in efforts to re-elect him, told NBC News they now see his chances of winning as 0 and the likelihood of him taking down fellow Democratic candidates growing. He needs to drop out, one Biden campaign official said. He will never recover from this. All of this taking place as I am speaking to you right now. Axios, MSNBC, the CBS, ABC, all of them coming after the Washington Post, coming after Joe Biden, the likes of which we have never seen in a modern era, them come after a sitting American president. It is a mess. It is a disaster. And we are set up for 6:30 Eastern press conference. I believe what is happening. This is my analysis writ large. What I have found now that I do politics, media, and in sports, everything else, most people are afraid to have original opinions because original opinions get you noticed and original opinions can get you fired. Most people would rather hide in the shadows or the shade of other people's opinions and chirp along, taking issue with them instead of sharing their own opinions. You probably see this in your own businesses. Most people don't want to be the tall tree in the forest. Tall tree in the forest can get struck by lightning. Tall tree in the forest sways more because it's higher up in the breeze. It doesn't have protection. Most people don't want to be the tall tree. They want to hide in the shadows of the tall tree. They may want to be close to the tall tree because that's where power is, that's where prestige is, that's where money is, but they don't actually want to be the tall tree because the tall tree takes a lot of attention and it takes a lot of hits, and it can be dangerous to be the tall tree. You can get knocked over at any point in time. What's happening with the Biden team and the Biden takeout is no one who's actually a tall tree has really come after Joe Biden publicly yet. You got a senator most people can't name. You got 7 or 8 different Congress people most people can't name. Joe Biden hasn't been attacked by Barack Obama publicly, hasn't been attacked by Bill Clinton, hasn't been attacked by Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, you name, none of his cabinet members. Nobody who has a prominent audience in the Democrat Party has gone public with their opinion of Joe Biden. They're all hoping that somebody bigger than them, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, somebody in the Democrat power base is going to say something about Joe Biden needing to step down, and then they're all going to flood into the shade of that tree. Because then they can say it, but most people won't notice them, and they have the power of the crowd surrounding them. Before I did politics, covered politics, I thought, you know what, there's probably a lot of really smart, brave politicians. I have found, now that I do it, that smart, brave politicians are rare. Most of them are only interested in continuing to get elected because a lot of them couldn't do any other job and be anywhere near as prominent as they are in the political universe. This is the truth. And one of the big challenges, my theory, one of the big challenges with our representation in general is lots of people who would be the best at it don't need the headache for what the money actually pays them. For instance, I make way more money than I could ever make as a politician. If I decided to go run for political office, I would have to give up maybe tens of millions of dollars. I'm not independently wealthy. I still have to labor. There are lots of people like me, people who make really good livings, who like their jobs, but who have to continue to work. And in order for me to switch and be a senator or a governor, I would have to go from making, candidly, millions of dollars a year to suddenly making $180,000 a year. That basically is me saying, hey, here's tens of millions of dollars that I would leave on the table in income over the next 8 to 10 years. And instead, I'm going to go be a congressman, or I'm going to be a senator, or I'm going to be a governor, or whatever else. Like, I've kind of wrestled through that. Maybe in a decade, I'll have made all the money that I can, and I'll sit back and I'll say, I can't spend anywhere near what I've got now. Now I can go and do a job that pays a lot less. But there are a lot of people like me, people who are super successful, fortunate, but they look around, they say, wait, you want me to take a job that pays me a fraction of what I would otherwise make? And my job, by the way, I wouldn't want to do it very long. I don't think I've ever had a job longer than 5 years because I want to get good at it, and then I want to do something new. If I were doing politics, I'd be like, I only want to do this for 6 or 8 years. I don't want to be Joe Biden doing politics for 50 years. There are a lot of other things I would like to do. So my point is, I thought there's a lot of brave, there's a lot of smart, courageous people. Most of them want to hide in the shade of a tree. And right now, we're in the era of hide in the shade of a tree. And by the way, wherever you work, there's a lot of people who want to hide in the shade of the tree. There's a lot of people happy to be there in the middle management. They never actually create something. They don't take any actual risks. They just kind of hide in the weeds, and they cash their paycheck, and they avoid having a lot of attention paid to them, and they don't stick their head up too high, and they look for a tall tree, and they go find the shade, and they hide there. And that's their career. There's a lot of people who want to do that. It's a relatively safe, risk-averse lifestyle. That's politics. And so what they're trying to do instead, this is my theory, is Order 66 has been put in place, and they now want the media. They've chummed the waters all along the beach, and now they just gave Joe Biden a towel, and they told him, hey, Joe, why don't you go for a swim? What the Democrats are hoping right now is that the media, angered, chummed up with water, chummed up with blood, frothing, is going to go and devour Joe Biden. Democrats are asking the media to do what they themselves are not willing to do. It's important. Okay? It's really important. And when that happens, Democrats, in the immediate aftermath of this press conference, are going to say, yeah, with the debate and with this press conference, we can't support Joe Biden any longer. And they're going to want to have an open convention because I don't think they want Kamala Harris. Now, you may have heard me talking on Clay and Buck. Some people say, well, Joe Biden's not able to be president now if he can't run for re-election. I think that's true, but he's not going to step down. That would be a level of shame that I don't think that Joe Biden and his family are willing to take. They're not going to pull up the vans and move all their private possessions out and make the move and let Kamala Harris become president of the United States. He's going to finish his term. I would put the chances, unless he has like dies, if he is able to in any way continue to argue that he's functional, he's going to finish the next 6 months. I also think they don't want Jill Biden doesn't, and probably Hunter too. They don't want Kamala to be the nominee. I think they believe that Kamala has been disloyal, and they don't want her to just be handed this nomination on a silver platter. So I think what would happen if Democrats get their way is Joe Biden will say, I'm stepping down, but I'm following the lead of Barack Obama, who did not endorse me when I ran. I am going to go ahead and let there be an open contested convention, and I'm going to free all my delegates to vote their conscience. I think Joe Biden will say publicly that he likes Kamala Harris and that he believes she would make a good president, but that he doesn't believe it's his responsibility to make a choice, that he thinks the Democrat process should play itself out, that he has come to realize that he doesn't have the mental or physical ability to maintain as president of the United States. That, I believe, is the way that he would step down. I also think there would be a big negotiation. I think as a part of this, not be public, as a part of that negotiation, the Biden family would get paid hundreds of millions of dollars through a library, through a new foundation, so that Hunter Biden and Jill Biden and all their kids are rich and have jobs for the rest of their lives. I think that is one way the payoff would take place. Joe Biden would probably get paid $20 million to write some book that he's not actually going to write. Jill Biden would get $10 million to write some book that he's not going to write. Hunter Biden would get like some Netflix documentary series that doesn't require very much work from him, that tries to make him look like a hero. The Biden family would bank several $100 million in the process, and all their kids and grandkids would be covered for years to come. You then have a contested convention. They end up with a nominee. I think it would be different than Kamala. I think it might be Gretchen Whitmer. It might be Josh Shapiro, the governors of Michigan or Pennsylvania, because if you look at the map reflects the only way Democrats can win right now is by winning Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. That is a very narrow path to re-election. They want to solidify their chances there and try to expand the map from beyond there. All of that, I believe, is what is at play right now. And we have never seen anything like this. I would tell you 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, 4:30 Mountain, 3:30 Pacific. Get your popcorn and sit down, because The protection of Joe Biden has been lifted. The order to take him out has been given. And you should expect to see the most aggressive anti-Democrat press availability that you have ever seen in any of your lives. I really believe that is where we are headed. To the extent that I just replied to Tommy Lahren, who's got a great show, obviously, on the OutKick network, I'm actually surprised that Dr. Jill Biden will let Joe Biden walk into this scenario. If I were advising right now, based on what I have seen of Joe Biden's mental and physical capabilities, a press conference is the worst possible situation and scenario for him. He doesn't process information well. He doesn't hear questions well. He doesn't redirect and pivot and think well on his feet. Unless he knows every question that is going to be asked of him, and maybe he will, because we've seen a lot of these rigged pressers in the past, I don't think he's going to do very well at all. And I think you are walking him into shark-infested waters and letting him get devoured. Same thing I would say for Hunter. If this were my dad and he was in the shape that Joe Biden is in right now, I wouldn't let him go out for that press conference. I would continue to fight the Lester Holt one-on-one sit-down interview, those kind of scenarios. I didn't think Biden looked very good or did very well with Stephanopoulos on Friday, but I think that's the best case scenario you can hope for when he's off a teleprompter. But for everybody to be lined up like they are right now, remember, this is not Republicans trying to take out Joe Biden right now. These are Democrats and their friends and operatives in the media trying to take him out. We have never seen anything like this. I wasn't alive, but back in 1968, when LBJ announced in July of 68 that he wasn't going to be the nominee and that he wouldn't accept it, I don't think it was the same level of pressure that we are seeing right now. I think this is an unprecedented attack on Democrats by Democrats. And let me also circle back around yesterday on the George Clooney. George Clooney, to me, it's not a surprise that he was the one who decided to write this editorial. There are relatively few people in the public eye that have enough money to say exactly what they think. I actually think George Clooney is one of them in Hollywood. You have the idea, meaning a lot of you out there, that if you're on CNN or you're on MSNBC or you're on Fox News, that those people are all really wealthy. It's not true. Some are, but they're actually the substantial minority. Most people in media, 99.9% in people in media, can't retire. They haven't made enough money to be able to retire. And if you haven't made enough money to be able to retire, then you're always looking over your shoulder, worried about where the next paycheck is going to come from. There are a lot of people in media with golden handcuffs. And when you're wearing golden handcuffs, most of those media members are going to be concerned about not being able to get their next contract. That's why I think a lot of media are a lot like the politicians. They hide in the shade of big trees. They wait to see what a big tree does and they react to it. They don't actually try to become a big tree themselves. Because again, it goes back to my analogy, big trees have higher peril. There's greater danger. And so that's what you're seeing happen in media as well. Now the code red's been ordered. The order 66 has been given. And they're going to go after Biden. They've been freed. They're not going to risk losing their jobs by going after Biden too aggressively because he's lost the power to impact the job. George Clooney may well be a billionaire, not only because of his movies, but because he made hundreds of millions of dollars off that tequila company he founded. Was it Casamigos? George Clooney can retire. He doesn't need money anymore. I don't think it was a coincidence that he was willing to go public with what everybody else in Hollywood was thinking, because he doesn't need them. This has been my argument for a long time. If you listen to my shows, I never go after people who make $75 or $80 or $100,000 a year and shut up and do their job and try not to get attention drawn to them. They don't fight back against DEI policies publicly. They don't get on social media and go after their employer. I understand that, because you're worried about taking care of your family. You're worried about paying your mortgage. The people that I have the most vitriol for are like the Mark Cubans of the world. Mark Cuban just recently was saying, oh, Joe Biden's sharp. He's on top of his game. He has billions of dollars. Why does Mark Cuban need to lie to you? You may not agree with anything I say on a day-to-day basis on Clay and Buck, on this show, on Fox News. What I say doesn't impact me in terms of my ability to make a living. I made more money than I ever thought I would have, and I get to wake up every day and do this job because I love it. I could retire. The example I've used before is I'm like a guy who won the lottery and woke up and decided the day after he won the lottery, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to keep doing the jobs that I already have. That to me is a sign you're living your life pretty well. Hey, you know what? I've got lottery money, but I don't need to quit. I really like what I do. I want to keep doing the jobs that I'm already doing. I won the lottery and I added more jobs. That almost never happens because I love what I do on a day-to-day basis. But I don't have to look over my shoulder and worry about what tall trees are doing around me. I don't have to worry whether I'm in the shade of somebody else. I give Fox credit here. In the entire time that I have ever worked at Fox, Fox Sports or Fox News, no one has ever told me, hey, you can't say that. No one has ever said, hey, you shouldn't share that opinion. People give advice. It's like, hey, just only give me sports opinions. You're going to make a lot more money. I've heard that. Hey, don't try to give a political opinion. But that's just advice. No one has ever said to me, hey, you can't say that. And that was before I had any money. And since I sold OutKick, not one time has anyone at Fox ever said, hey, we wish you hadn't said X, or we wish you hadn't said Y. Or, hey, how about you say X, or how about you say Y instead? For better or worse, every tweet, every word out of my mouth is my own opinion. And there are very few people that actually you can say that about in media. So this is a big circular story. Tonight has the potential to be a night that we have never seen before in any of our lives as it relates to a president under siege. As I am speaking to you right now, let me look at the absolute live odds of what exactly is going on. We are approaching the highest numbers in terms of odds that Joe Biden's going to step down that has occurred since the debate. Right now, who's going to be the Democrat nominee in 2024? Dead even, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden at 43% each with over $100 million bet. Biden to drop out of the presidential race with $14 million bet, 61% yes in that live odds. Presidential election winner, Trump 61%, Kamala 18%, Biden is all the way down to 11%. Biden is tanking in the odds market right now. I believe after the media is done with him in coming up on 3.5 hours from now, I think Joe Biden's presidential campaign is going to be over. I think they're going to end him tonight. I think you should expect it. I think you should get out your popcorn. And remember, I don't even think Republicans are in favor of this. If you told me right now, I would rather Joe Biden be the nominee. I think Joe Biden should have to stand on his own 2 feet and stand on his own presidency. I think he's been an awful president. He won the nomination to run again in 24. I think that Joe Biden against Trump should be the race that we have. So Republicans, I don't think, want Biden gone. We're in an interesting position. Republicans want Biden to do well in this press conference and actually maintain his nomination. Democrats, I think, particularly media Democrats and wealthy Democrats, want Joe Biden to be torn apart and forced to step down. It's an upside-down world. Republicans want Biden doing well. Democrats want Biden doing poorly. We will be reacting to what I think is going to be an incredibly historic and consequential press conference that starts in just about 3 hours. Get your popcorn. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. I am Clay Travis. This has been OutKick, the show.